In a television studio, shows Phil Hartman and Joe King sitting in chairs. Hartman: hello, I'm Hill Fartman, and welcome to this year's 13th installment of SNL's Crazy Critics, where one of our in-house critics critiques the last SNL episode. Joining us this week is the producer of Saturday Night Live, Joe King. Welcome, Joe. King: pleasure to be here, Fartman. In one of the promotional photos that the host Sydney Sweeney took for her week at 30 Rock, she was wearing a crown, which I took as a secret message to me, Joe King, from SNL to do this week's review. Hartman: right. Anyway, despite your self-indulgent reasons for deciding to critique this episode, what did you think of the cold open? King: well, I applaud SNL for its attempt to possibly maybe make a little fun at Joe Biden's expense. The fact of the matter is that old coot can't put a sentence together, and SNL has been mostly silent on this issue throughout his administration. But here the writers did all they could to show the potential of what making fun of Biden could look like. It was capped off with Mikey Day as Biden not being able to figure out a FaceTime call. Anyway, I myself have used Saturday Night Live as a vehicle to make fun of Biden from time to time, so SNL attempting to do the same was a secret message to me. Hartman: oh boy, so you're going to tie everything SNL did in their latest episode as a secret message to you, huh? King: you betcha. Hartman: very well. What did you think of Sydney Sweeney's monologue? King: the fact that Sydney Sweeney was hosting it all was a secret message to me, as she has become my #1 celebrity crush. But I don't want this whole critique to be about sexualizing Sydney and her darling cats. I want it to be more about sexualizing her extremely underrated ass. But anyway, the monologue was very solid. That had a nice moment where she brought up her fiancé, only for it to be ruined by showing that homewrecker Glenn Powell. Yuck. Hartman: sounds like someone's jealous. King: what's with his abs anyway? You'd think someone like Sydney would prefer someone with a dad bod like me. Hartman: keep dreaming, Joe. Anyway, what did you think of the first sketch after the monologue, Detectives? King: this sketch was about Sydney and the equally gorgeous Chloe Fineman playing 22-year-old interns at the NYPD who are able to solve cold cases within seconds because of their ability to figure out anything about anyone online using mainly social media. The secret message here was clear, as I am also a bit of an internet sleuth. I call myself a deep diver. In fact, you know how everyone thinks a plane hit the Pentagon on 9/11? What I discovered was... Hartman: we definitely don't have time for any of your paranoid conspiracy theories. What did you think of the Please Don't Destroy sketch, Story About a Friend? King: having on the Please Don't Destroy guys on this episode was a secret message to me. I adore the trio, and it was a very funny sketch where Sydney goes to visit them and they talk about a friend dying in a very hilarious way. A friend named Reverend Butt-Cheek Vagina Rosenthal, all capped off with a video online proving they weren't lying, including that their friend's dad was Chef Boyardee. I think I had Chef Boyardee once as a kid, so having their deceased friend be the son of the actual chef was a secret message to me. Hartman: very well. What did you think of the next sketch, Air Bud? King: this was a sketch about Sydney as a high school cheerleader who was trying to flirt with the new star on the basketball team, a dog. No, not a promiscuous man or an ugly woman, but a literal canine. It was funny. And speaking of my deep diving prowess, I've been watching old SNL episodes from the early to mid-'80s lately, as I'm trying to have every old SNL host who's now dead also host Saturday Night Live. And back then there was a recurring sketch with Tim Kazurinsky where he was married to a monkey. So since I've seen those sketches recently, having an animal-themed sketch on SNL now was a secret message to me. Hartman: certainly it couldn't have been a coincidence. Anyway, what did you think of the next sketch, Big Bench? King: this sketch was like a Judge Judy parody, but instead of having just one judge, they had a cartoonish amount in 17 judges. They didn't get to them all, unfortunately, as it would have been a nice way to get the entire cast into one sketch. But anyway,
I'm a lawyer when I'm not doing the show, having a sketch with judges in a courtroom was a secret message to me. Although, to be fair, the parties were representing themselves and thus there were not any lawyers. A dream come true for some people, I'm sure. But nonetheless, it was still a secret message to me.
Hartman, what did you think of the next sketch, Bowen Straight?
Okay, this sketch was a behind-the-scenes sketch where Sydney as herself tells Heidi and Ego that she has a crush on Bowen. Heidi and Ego tell Sydney that Bowen's not really gay. He plays gay as a shortcut for laughs, which includes Bowen kissing Gina Gershon, which leads to Bowen and Sydney hooking up before Bowen ditches her to go to Paris in a helicopter. This was obviously a secret message to me because in our last Crazy Critics review, Norm Macdonald called Bowen the C word, not the derogatory Asian slur that rhymes with think, but instead the C word that rhymes with bunt. And therefore, in revenge, Bowen pretended to be straight in his sketch, also that he could kiss and grope Sydney and shove it in my face. Well played, Bowen, well played.
Hartman, what did you think of the next sketch, Makeup Artists?
Okay, this sketch was about Heidi as a bride right before her wedding, with Sydney and Sarah's makeup artist doing Heidi's makeup. And as Heidi gets the terrible news that her groom has left, Sydney and Sarah still awkwardly try to make sure they still get paid while saying shoot. It was very funny cringe comedy, but it wasn't believable as no man on earth would ever leave Heidi Gardner, who gives Sydney a run for her money at the altar. Since this sketch stretched the bounds of believability, and I also stretched the bounds of believability by producing a show featuring an all-dead cast, it was a secret message to me.
Hartman, I think that secret message stretched the bounds of believability. Anyway, what did you think of Casey Musgrave's musical performance?
Casey is beautiful, lovely, and talented, and I love beautiful, lovely, and talented women, so having her as a musical guest was a secret message to me. Plus, in the lyrics of her song, she talked about how she used to wake and bake. I used to wake and bake in college, so having Casey sing about it was a secret message to me.
Hartman, because you two are the only two people to ever wake and bake. Anyway, what did you think of Weekend Update?
Well, the fact that they had on Weekend Update on the show at all was a secret message to me, as I love the segment.
Hartman, it's literally on every episode.
Is that right? Anyway, I thought the recurring Mitch McConnell joke with his goofy grin in the photo was great, as well as their border jokes about Trump and Nikki Haley needing to do the dishes at home. And then Heidi came out as a golden bachelorette who helps women to feel confident as they age. Even though Heidi killed it as usual, my problem with it was that she still looked like a stone-cold fox, so it was hard for me to picture her as an old lady. There's only so much you can do with a woman as hot as Heidi, though. And then Ego came out as Charlotte, the pregnant stingray, and she had a great bit about Shay being the father of her child, with Shay explaining he had a latex allergy. But if not for Shay, the only explanation for this stingray's pregnancy is immaculate conception, since we at SNA recently had a sketch titled Cupped by God, a Virgin Birth, in episode 277, bringing up this stingray was a secret message to me.
Hartman, okay, and what did you think of the next sketch, Hooters Waitress?
Well, I did not want this critique to devolve into a sexualization of Sydney's cans. Boy, did they look stunning in the Hooters garb. And her ass also looked great in the orange shorts. I've been known to be a patron of Hooters every now and again, so having Sydney as a clumsy waitress who still cleans up on tips because of her darling figure was a secret message to me. Although it of course made no sense that Chloe Fineman and Sarah would not be doing so well as Hooter waitresses, I would give them both more than, quote, just the tip, if you know what I mean.
Hartman, good God! Anyway, after Casey Musgrave's second musical performance, what did you think of the sketch Airbnb Design Commercial?
The sketch was Sydney and Chloe Trost as Chanel and Channel, two Airbnb interior designers. Chloe Trost recently blocked my Instagram page where we promote Saturday Night Live episodes, so giving Trost a starring role in this sketch was a secret message to me.
Hartman, and what was that secret message?
That SNL hates me.
Hartman, Makes sense. Anyway, what did you think of the last sketch of the evening, Loud Table?
King, this sketch had Andrew and Sydney out as a couple on an anniversary date that had to deal with loud tables at the restaurant. Andrew got the men to quiet down by getting them to appreciate their fraternal friendship, while Sydney got the women to quiet down by reminding them of their mother's humanity. It was funny stuff until it was ruined by that jerk Glenn Powell, who Sydney explains to Andrew she's been cheating on him with if she leaves with him.
Hartman. And the secret message?
King. Oh, right, the secret message was dead from the earth, we're not alive.
It's Saturday Night Alive, starring John Belushi, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Norm MacDonald, Gilda Radner, Denitra Vance, and with many other special deceased contributors. Musical guest, Gangsta Boo, and your host, Brandon Tartikoff. Everybody, Brandon Tartikoff. Applause, applause, applause. Shows Tartikoff on stage who says, Thank you, thank you. I was an American television executive who was the president of NBC from 1981 to 1991. I was credited with turning around NBC's low primetime reputation with several hit series, including Hill Street Blues, L.A. Law, Law and Order, Alf, Family Ties, The Cosby Show, Cheers, Seinfeld, The Golden Girls, Wings, Miami Vice, Knight Rider, The A-Team, Saved by the Bell, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, St. Elsewhere, and Night Court. Applause, applause, applause. Tartikoff. And in the season premiere of its ninth season, I hosted Saturday Night Live. During my monologue, Norm MacDonald and Chris Farley come out. Tartikoff. Hey, fellas, can I help you? MacDonald. You sure can, We want to know why you fired us. Farley.
Yeah!
Tartikoff. Fellas, MacDonald. Now wait just a minute, Mr. Belinknikoff. Tartikoff. It's Tartikoff. MacDonald. Whatever. Me and Chris here, we were stalwarts. Farley. Fucking stalwarts, bro. MacDonald. That's right. Stalwarts on Saturday Night Live. I was the weekend update guy, and Chris had a load of characters. Farley. How can we get you back on the right track? MacDonald. That's right, And through some incompetence in your organization. Tartikoff. Fellas, Farley.
Let Norm finish.
MacDonald. That's right. Let me finish my point, Where was I? Oh, yes. Through some incompetence in your organization, while you were president of the network, somehow you allowed Chris and I to be fired. And now it's time to get back at you. Chris? Farley comes up behind Tartikoff with a pie. As Farley tries to throw it in Tartikoff's face, Tartikoff ducks and it hits MacDonald in the face. Tartikoff. Fellas, I left NBC in 1991. I had nothing to do with your firings, which happened years later. MacDonald. Well, then, I guess it's appropriate that I would have pie in my face. My apologies, Branson. Tartikoff. It's Brandon. MacDonald. Whatever. Tartikoff turns to the audience and says, Folks, if I were president of this show, I promise it would have been a better monologue. Anyway, we have a great show tonight. Gangsta Boo is here, so let's find out where them dollars at. We'll be right back.